Hello YouTube. I wanted to make a talky video, a nerdy talky video about Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. I've been playing it for a while now and I feel like I'm actually getting to grips with it. So let's crack straight on and talk about the expansions first. We'll start at the bottom and work up. So when you've unlocked everything you get 4 options here. I actually think there's a 5th but I haven't unlocked it somehow. I don't know. There seems to be a red one that I don't have, and it might just be this. So you got assault armor, which is kind of a misleading name because it's not armor. You activate the power and it's a damaging area effect shockwave, and that can take people by surprise, but it's kind of a cheese move. The one I always go with is the pulse armor, the one that's actually armor. Gives you a pulse barrier that follows you, goes around with you, makes you very resilient for a short period of time. You get 2 uses, I think, during a match. Pulse protection is different because it's the same kind of barrier, but it stays in a fixed location. More tactical, less user-friendly. And the final one is one that actually activates when you're nearly dead automatically. But it doesn't last as long as either of the others. So that's my choice for the expansion, Pulse Armor, because it's most user-friendly and most helpful. You can choose when to activate it for when you're about to get some big hits, basically, when you're nearly dead. Generators is a difficult one, because there's lots of options here. These 2 at the bottom are only for if you're using coral weapons. They need those because of the extreme power demands. This one looks terrible because of the EN recharge and the supply recovery stats. It's just rock bottom. That is not much better. That is not much better. That's not much better. This one, the Santai, has the biggest EN capacity, and its EN recharge and supply recovery aren't bad considering. If you want to mount lots of energy weapons, that's the one you're going to be going with. The one I always use is the Ming Tang, because it's not too bad on weight. If I organise them by weight, we'll see that it's getting up there towards the heavy boys. But it's lighter than the Santai, and it's got a much better EN and supply recovery. In fact, apart from this one, the Ling Tai, which has very low EN capacity, you would not be able to mount very many weapons with that. You would need a light mech for that. Yeah, that's got very good EN supply recovery though. If you had a light mech, very light mech, you might go for the Ling Tai, but other than that, you're going to want the Ming Tang in 90% of everything you build, basically. Work towards it, and it'll give you more energy than anything else for its weight and the EN capacity you're getting here. So Ming Tang, my choice for generator. FCSs are down to how you want to play. This is the best generalised one, WLT 001. As you can see, the close range, the medium range and the long range are all adequate. The only drawback is it's got quite a lot of EN load, considering it's just your chip. That one is the close range version. If you're just going to go melee, point blank, then that's the one for you. Got a long range one, a very long range one. This is the one that you will be using for generalised ACs until you unlock the WLT. This Talbot is actually quite good generalised FC, but early unlocked. Close range version. A missile specialist. Another missile specialist there, but medium range. Better. And then you've got the crap at the top. So Wilt is my choice for FC because it does pretty much everything. Second place is the Talbot, or if you want to go close range, you know, Thrusters. Now, Thrusters are even more of a mixed bag. I order them by weight straight away. You can see this is the heaviest one, and it has very good AB thrust and afterburner EN consumption and quick boost reload ideal weight. Not sure exactly what that does, but overall it's not as good as the one I'm using. This one has very good thrust, upward thrust and upward EN consumption, so for climbing it's very good. Oh, and afterburner EN consumption's good, but on everything else it's suffering compared to the one I'm using, which is this one, Flugel. The third heaviest. Has excellent all-round stats. As far as I could tell, as far as I could Rain Man these stats here, I think the Flugel is going to be a great all-rounder on anything but a very specialised machine. I'll just compare the others for you. You see, they're excelling in certain areas, but they're not as generalised as the Flugel. So that's kind of a no-brainer actually. That's the one I always use just for simplicity. I know it's solid. Flugel booster. Right, legs. Okay. Order them by weight. Go to the bottom first. Tank. Tank is tank. It's the one of two tanks. This tank is designed for aerial combat. This tank is not. When you equip a tank part, it only equips your booster, because it has its own inbuilt boosters. It does crazy things to your stability, load limit, and defensive potential as well. But I don't use it except for some PvE mission that just requires you to absolutely beast your way through. It's a cheese move, but you are vulnerable if you don't know what you're doing, especially in PvP. If somebody gets behind you in that, they can carve you up, and there's nothing you can do because they're just going to outmaneuver you all day. You're quite slow with that fitted. Never use this. The heavy legs, the heavy quad legs. I often go quad leg, and I have a number of mechs that are more heavily armed than this, and using these legs. These are the medium tetrapod legs, I believe. Yes. VP424. These are the ones I often use, and these are the ones that are fitted on this mech, which, as you can see, has quite a lot of firepower, and it's still quite fast. It would do 273 with its boost speed. Heavy biped legs, desert, super stable, but hard to see any benefit of having them really. These reverse leg chicken jointed legs are actually quite good. You can see it's faster than the legs I'm using. Better defensive stats, more load limit, but only just. EN load is a lot less as well, so I would be able to fit a lot more energy weapons if I chose these legs. I just don't like them. These are the light quadruped legs, and I do use them on lighter fitted mechs. As you can see, if I try to fit them now, I'd have an energy shortfall, and I'm overweight. These Mind Alpha are probably the best light bipeds. They look pretty cool. HAL is an excellent fit as well. HAL 826, that's another good mech. Set. Good biped legs, medium weight. As you can see, I could quite easily run this and it would make sense. I would get a bit more speed out of it, but I'm losing quite a lot of stability. Quite a lot of stability, and I do like my stability. The reverse jointed, lighter, medium, heavily armoured biped. Melander's another good set. They look quite cool, quite transformery. There's not much to talk about these, to be honest. These are good ones. one's Alba. That's the very light one, the Ephemera. Very fast biped. That's even faster. Looks like you got high heels on there. And that's the aerial combat biped. So my choice for legs is the medium weight tetrapod leg by Arquebus. If you don't fly tetrapod, you should try it, because what you lose in speed, you gain in stability, and you fly pretty well in these things, and they get the hover function, which is just so handy. Really takes people by surprise in PvP. Right, arms. Again, order by weight. Right at the bottom, these things are only good for pure defense. If you're mainly going to be using shoulder weapons, I'm definitely not using melee weapon or relying on an arm weapon for your main damage, and you just want a tank, then they're your choice. For something that's more rounded offensively, these ones are quite heavy defensively and actually do stuff. They've got good EN supply support. These are the ones with amazing melee specialization, the third heaviest. Really good defensive stats, reasonable firearm control, good recoil control, good load limit. These are great arms. Salad arms, not to be confused with salad fingers. Don't go and look at that. Tian Quang, another great arm piece, fourth heaviest, and I could quite comfortably rock that with this mech. It's not going to damage me too much. I'm going to take a hit on speed, but look what it does for my defensive abilities. What else is it doing? Now, I'm losing melee and firearm specialization, so it's not as good offensively as the ones I'm using. We'll get to them, but it would give me a jump in defensive points. These mined alpha arms are actually pretty good, the heaviest of the mediums. These are the ones I'm using. HAL 826, just great generalized medium arm part. Looks pretty cool too. Mass produced arm parts as it all. That's the Ephemera set, quite light, but a heavier arm than the leg comparatively. Lander arms are quite good, and then we get into the super lights. Alba's probably the best of the lights. If you're going to have a light arm part, go super. Or actually, I think, yeah, these middle of the road light arm parts, not that great. Tool arm, ironically, seems to be the best. Moving on. Cores. Order by weight. That's the big one. Main dish. That's just a big chunky boy of a core. Very high EN load. And, well, there's this stat called generator output adjustment, and it's not that good, so you end up with it's got a higher EN cost than it actually has. You know what I mean? It has a more, well, yeah, hard to explain. This core I could actually rock. It even improves my overall stability, but my speed doesn't take that much of a hit. It would actually make a lot of sense to put this core on this mech, but I'm not going to because it doesn't look so good. And I think that speed loss is deceptive. Don't know. Tian Quang part. That's another good core. It's the lightest of the heaviest. But the one I'm using is the heaviest of the mediums, the HAL 826 core, which looks awesome. Reminds me of the white gleam core from the previous game. Really good all-rounder, goes really well with his legs. That's the Mind Alpha set. That's the true medium. This is kind of yeah, classic fans of such classic hardware are fond of its characteristic bulk. It's a bit niche, but it's got good defensive stats. Melander core is a lighter medium. We're getting into the lights now. Melander C3, yeah, not so much. That ephemera is a good light core, but it's very light, and then you get the absolute bantamweights. And I could try heavy. Very, very light. So my pick for core is Melander. But if I was going heavy, I would have this one. Because it's got the great generator output adjustment stats, stability is fantastic, defensive potential great. So yeah, even on a light mech, I'm probably going to go with the HAL 826, or I might have this Mind Alpha as the lightest I wanted to go with my core. Just because you can save weight elsewhere and it could be a fast thing even with a medium core. And that's a good idea. That's good. That's good policy. For the heads, order by weight, I'm using the heaviest because it has the best other stats. If I go to the lightest head, it saves me. I gain 2 miles per hour or whatever that is on boost speed, just 2, by sacrificing all that weight. All the other stats, the defensive stats, the system recovery, like nothing is as good as this heaviest head, except maybe that one. That has, what's bad about this one? Oh yeah, ridiculous EN load. And it looks a bit silly too, big hammerhead. So I kind of like the way that looks too, like a cat mantis head. That's the head I always use. This is a good head too, and so is that one. But when it comes to head choice, it's more aesthetic for you. Do consider the stats of the head you're going to use, but don't worry about it too much. Just make sure you can identify with these monsters you get to fly about the place. Back unit. Oh, there are so many weapons to choose from. I could be here all day. I'm going to try and keep this as brief as possible. Start with the heaviest first. This I never use. This triple barrel laser cannon. I think I've tried it once and decided it was too heavy for what it's worth. But yeah, there's a lot of firepower to be kicked out there if you've got a mech that can mount that monster. Same here with this thing. You don't really get to appreciate it in its folded up state, but that's a huge laser cannon. That has it's even heavier and has an even greater EN load than this spread laser cannon, laser shotgun cannon that I do use a lot of. That's really nice. 60 LCD. I'll show you that in a minute. I will take this out for a test and you'll get to see that in action. Like all energy weapons, you can hold it down to charge a shot, and the charge shot is not a shotgun spread. It's it's a bolt of death. Speaking of bolts of death, this is the big gun of the game. I do miss Wagami from the previous game, which would take up both shoulder slots and be an even big grenade cannon of unimaginable proportions. But this is good enough. You can have 2 of these, one on each shoulder if you wanted, and yeah, you get 16 shots of very large explosive death, not to be missed for defeating bosses. That is your boss killer right there, my friends. You get stuck on somebody, do not look elsewhere. This I don't use, but I get that it could be very useful. This is a bit overkill, to be honest. A shotgun bazooka or shotgun grenade cannon type thing. Very hard not to be hit by that. Very hard to dodge those attacks from that. Plasma cannons I don't use, but I bet someone will tell you this is awesome. The needle launcher is kind of a specialist cheese weapon used for defeating a particular boss, but yeah, if you learn to use that right, very, very deadly because it has a lot of stun damage, which is a thing in this game now. I gotta hate this. I hate this thing because it's missile spam, and it doesn't look that great. I would have designed a much better missile launcher for the weight, so it looked a bit cool. It's just this disposable tube nonsense. If you're going to make upgrades grenade cannon Songbirds, this is probably one of the better weapons of the game, but I don't use it. It's like a... You get 2 shots and then it's a long reload, but they're quite damaging. It's quite a light weapon considering it's just not got great accuracy considering, but you know, it's a grenade cannon. You don't need that much accuracy. You get above somebody and then they get caught in the blast radius. This is a big boxing missile launcher. 10 shots. It's directly forward. That is actually quite deadly, but the missiles are quite easy to avoid because there's nothing special about them. They're just missiles. This laser cannon has quite a rapid fire and is excellent for taking out the MTs, the bots in PvE, and it's got great shot speed, so it's good in PvP too. Again, it can be charged. This vertical launch missile system is the biggest missile launch system that's actually any good. I don't like that, unless it's for killing bosses. That's really good. But for fighting other ACs and players, this is probably one of the better missile launchers because they go up and they come down. You don't see them coming and they're harder to avoid. Speaking of being hard to avoid, these missiles split into 8 micro missiles with homing, and it's double barreled, so it fires 2 of them. That's my favourite missile launcher in the game. It's brutality on legs in PvP and in PvE. It just kills things really good, fire and forget. Second favourite is this one. I often take it because this one's got a really high EN load. This one doesn't. But these fire like single powerful cruise missile type missiles, and they're fire and forget as well. And they're slow, but they've got a long flight time, so they're hard. They're easier to avoid because they're slow, but because they've got such a long flight time, your enemy is thinking about avoiding them a long time, and that's a distraction. It's a great psychological weapon. These active homing launchers by Furlong. This is the chargeable energy missile launcher of the game. It's actually quite sexy, but it's hard to get hits with that because they have a weird tracking arc. They don't just sort of go straight; they go up and down. That could have been better, but it's still a nice weapon if you figure out how to use it right. And it's got very heavy energy load. Bear that in mind. Pulse scutum. I think that's a shield. Yeah, that's one of the shields. Don't ask me about shields again. I don't use them, but I know which one's best. The Gatling gun is nice. It's not as ridiculous as the Gatling guns in the old game because it's got it overheats and it has to cool down, but it's light. It's got lots of ammo. It does lots of damage. It's hard to avoid. It's a bit unfair to bring into a PvP fight, but no one's going to complain too much. You just drill their faces off with a big minigun. Oh, it's very nice. Vertical launch. Laser drones. Again, kind of a cheesy weapon system, but it's light. And it doesn't actually do that much damage, but it just reaches out and touches people, these laser drones. They're weird, they just sort of orbit your target. Vertical launch plasma missiles, they're okay. Again, a plasma missile launcher. These are okay, but I prefer standard missiles. These missiles are actually the PvP go-to because they side attack. They come from both directions at once, and that's a triple launcher for them. Light wave cannon, just a light energy cannon. Again, that's good close up. Good on a lighter mech. I think that's yes, this is the better shield. Right. You see, there's an initial guard duration. When you activate the shield, it has a brief period of being very resilient, and some shields do that better than others. This is the one that doesn't do that very well. But if you're planning to just hold your shield up and soak up firepower, this does that best. SUR8. Needle missiles. done very low impact, quite high damage, and high impact weapon system, harder to aim. These things, you drop a little disc and you start shooting people, and then a moment later you can drop another little disc and now start shooting at them. It fires lasers that don't track too well, so and have slow speed, so it's easy to avoid. But if you've filled an area with these things, suddenly it's bullet hell for them. And you can, you have one of them on each shoulder and create a disco of death. That's actually, it's no skill weapon, but you do have to know what you're doing with them to make the most of them. Pulse shield launcher, pulse shield, smaller versions. These are quite cool. Auto targeting, like when you activate it, this little box flies up above your shoulder and the barrel folds out, and it'll just shoot things for you. And that takes some of the heat off you for doing things like melee and picking your shots. It'll just pop off bullets at people for you. That's good. A pulse cannon, high frequency. Don't use it. It's just like an energy machine gun, I think. This is the laser version of that. So yeah, little thing will pop up and hover and shoot lasers at people. I tried that. The lasers are more damaging than the bullets from this, but there's a low rate of fire and it's easier to avoid. That missile launcher we've talked about. So that's all the back weapons. We'll look at the arm weapons now from the left arm, because this includes all of them. And then we'll be done and I can show you a fight. Right, let's go from weight. This thing is so nice. The double-barreled laser rifle, VE66 LRB. If you can fit it, that's not a mistake. That gun is not a mistake if you want to take it and you can fit it on your mech. This one is kind of PvP focused. It's very hard to avoid. It's not a surgical weapon, it's kind of a blunt instrument, that one. Same with this. Although you haven't... Oh, that's really nice. What's bad about this? Reload time 6.3 is the same as my... Oh no, don't worry about that. Reload time 6.3. Effective range is not good, but it's the biggest grenade launcher. If you want a grenade launcher, that's probably the one to go for. This heavy bazooka is not the one I choose, but it has the better performance and the heavier weight. And EN load. This is probably the best machine gun or machine rifle. We'll call this, because it has this weird animation for replacing the barrels. So it's got a huge tank of ammo. It doesn't reload its clip, but it replaces the barrels instead when they get worn out. Bang, bang, bang. Really nice gun. If you want relative rapid fire that's not a machine gun, but solid performance, and you can carry it. Attaché is excellent. This thing is just so much fun. Turns you into one of those fiddler crabs. A fiddler crab whose claw is a chainsaw, and you can rub it in people's faces, and you can kind of do a melee attack with it, and it kind of locks them in place and gives them a good drilling and then smacks them away. Lots of damage, but it's a very heavy piece, and it's, believe it or not, hard to use. This is the single barrel version of the big dog at the bottom, basically. It's pretty good. Laser rifle, it's the second heaviest, so there you go. This grenade launcher is lighter than Dizzy. That's about all I can say about it. It's a grenade cannon, it's a grenade launcher. Yeah, they're good if you get close. Don't use this, the Harris, but I recognise it as a surgical weapon. Very high projectile speed, very high damage, low rate of fire, apparently, is what that's telling me. This is the weapon I've got in my other hand. This is my right hand go-to weapon. Medium-sized bazooka. Great ammo capacity, attack power. Everything's really nice about the Majestic. It truly is majestic. Do not overlook the Majestic bazooka. It's just a workhorse of a weapon. Split missile launcher, very specialised. Siege missile launcher, I'm not sure. This was looking for a short target launch before friends towards the lands. I don't know, I've never used that, but I don't even know how the missiles come out. There's just one missile in that thing and then it reloads? No idea. Have to give it a go. Ah, huge laser spike when you might absolutely positively have to tear someone a new one. That does a lot of damage. It's a big, tasty melee weapon, but again, hard to use. Zimmerman flute RNA. This is the cheese gun of the game. It's got great power, great range for a shotgun, great reload speed. Its only drawback is you only get 53 shots with it. That's the only drawback of this shotgun. It does so much stagger damage. Two of them, if you mount two of them, basically you're telling somebody in a PvP fight, I don't care how good you are, I have no interest in friendly competition or you know, testing my skill in any way. I just want to crush you and walk away with a win. I have no interest in enjoying this game in any way. That's what two Zimmermans tell you to run on. If you want to bring a laser blade in Zimmerman, I won't care, because obviously I could bring something really standoffish and counter it, but it's still a bit OP. But I don't mind that because this is mainly a PvE game. I think I would like to see the PvP balanced with either allowing us to bring a laser blade on each arm, or some restriction when it comes to duplicate weapons. Maybe I'm overthinking things. Let's just move on. This is actually a really nice gun that I don't use. Burst rifle. The spike, if you manage to stagger someone and get in for the kill with that, that is the Reaper of Men and the Widowmaker. That generally just kills people straight out when you hit them with that, especially if you hit them in the back when they're stunned. It just, yeah, doesn't matter. High speed linear rifle Barbarian. That's really nice. Dueling weapon. For standoff attack-ish. Range, what's the range? Ideal range, 190, yeah, that's pretty good. That's the Coral Plasma Rifle, and that's the normal Plasma Rifle. They're pretty good, but the projectiles are slow. High damage. It's like the energy equivalent of the bazooka in the other hand. That's a really nice gun. It's a lighter option, but it's a high power single shot rifle. The latency is longer than the attaché, but it's much lighter than the attaché. This is the other shotgun of the game. That's really nice. It's a bit like a Spaz, lighter than the Zimmerman, and not as good performing, but you know, you get what you pay for in weight. It's actually really good. Pulse missile launcher. Don't like it. Never use it. It's an energy thing. You can make spike people with it. It's weird. So weird, that one. Burst assault rifle. Yeah, it's what it says on the tin if you're looking for something in that range. A bit lighter, a standard assault rifle. This is really nice. Get one of these for fun. There are better weapons, but a laser shotgun in your right hand or left hand, charged up blasts and high rate of fire laser shotgun blasts. Oh, so much fun. 66 LS laser shotgun, really nice weapon if you can afford it energy wise. This plasma rifle is lighter than the other one, but it's disappointing in all of its stats really. The other one, if you're going to have a plasma rifle, try and get the weight for this one. This this machine gun, I was hoping for a better looking generalised ubiquitous machine gun, because I remember Motor Cobra from the last game and that was awesome. But that's a good machine gun. That's the midweight machine gun go to. Changche. This laser slicer spins around like a glaive. If you get someone with that, it's nearly as deadly as the spike. But it's only really just the one attack, and it's quite a long attack. If you commit to it, you're left very exposed if you miss. Handheld multiple missile launcher. A stun round launcher. That's interesting. Take someone with that. They've got problems you can exploit. Napalm bomb launcher. Never taken that into PvP. I think I've ever used it properly. It's got very limited ammo, but yeah, you can just set fire to the ground. Oh no. This is the laser spiky weapon. I get confused. It looks similar to the other one. Very specialised, close range type thing. Laser pistol. A small machine gun. Plasma mine launcher. That's weird. It acts like a bit of a whip sometimes. I think that's the one that's like acts like a whip. Or maybe I'm confusing that. These two cast blades. The Moonlight and the Redshift. It's so disappointing that they changed the Moonlight blades. That it's not a proper laser blade. It casts waves of light. This is a proper laser blade. It's got 3 consecutive hits, but I'll have to try that, you know. I don't think I've tried that. I don't think it's a bit heavier, but I don't think I like it as much as I like the one I use. This coral laser blade fires out a beam. You can like, it's got long range, but if you miss, you're very exposed. This one again has 3 chain combo. I'm gonna have to check all these blades out again. Stun baton, long barrel handgun, blah blah. This is the laser weapon I use, the laser dagger. It's the lightest, it's got the fastest attack speed, it's got a 3 chain attack, and yeah, it's low impact. But because it's light, it's hard to explain why this is so good, but if you're gonna explore laser blades, and you probably will just to get through the campaign, you're not gonna break the bank to buy this and try it. And it's my statement. If I'm gonna have a melee weapon and it's not gonna be the chain sword thing, I'll take this. So let's just go into a quick test and show you some of these weapons working before I bring this video to a close. Yeah, I know it's been a long slog, thanks for sticking with me. We will fight the test AC. charged up attack with laser.
Left shoulder ammunition at 50. AP at 30%.